We are back for another edition of the Fight HQ podcast. Of course, I'm Jason Floyd. That is the fighter, Pete Rogers Jr. here to break down UFC Mexico. Goes down tomorrow. Lock time right now, 5 p.m. Eastern time. The weigh-ins have already taken place. All the fighters have made weight. The stare-downs have actually already taken place there. So we're going to break down UFC Mexico. Of course, Pete, we come in on the heels of last week's card there down in Houston. Unfortunately, you couldn't do the show last week. I did the show last week. I didn't think I would do nearly an hour show by myself, but that's what I did last week. And by the way, congratulations to King D Jack 007 taking the Fight HQ contest, scoring 502 points. Big triple-double, taking down second. Hoff 84 taking down third. We'll have that contest for you. I know DraftKings kind of auto-populates it for us, so you should have that notification here in your DraftKings account here later on today. And of course, when you look back at last week, you look at the 100-point scores. You had Koss with 114, Smith with 114, Uros Medic with 104, Edwards with 100.79, Sean Strickland 99.74. Of course, Strickland price is 7.1. We had the duds last week of Jeff Neal at 1.20. Pete, I have seen a lot of things in this sport. I don't know if I've seen a fighter get knocked out and as his butt hits the mat, snot comes out of the nostril.
Yeah, he really got the snot knocked out of him. It was a pretty devastating knockout. I mean, last week was crazy. The Uros Medic knockout was really it was a devastating overhand and a nice little blitz. But for me, the knockout of the night was 𝗲𝗄𝐻𝐿 with the spinning back kick to 𝗵𝗍𝐠, the guy who's never been knocked out before. So, you know me, I'm a kicker. So I really, really love and admire when other people have excellent kicks. So 𝗲𝗄𝐻𝐿 should have won all the money. I don't know who won bonuses and whatnot, but that kick was absolutely fantastic. And what a card, honestly. Some crazy finishes.
Brutal KO by Jacoby Smith, a fight that should have been stopped sooner than what it was. We had some duds last week in the 9,000 range. Yair Delval getting 21.91, price at 9.4. Fluffy Hernandez scoring 23.36 at 9.1. Carly Judice at 9.7K. We got 68 points in a win. And, as I was watching those fights live last week and, a lot of tweets about Isaac Delgarian during that fight.
100%.
I would say this, man. The best tweet I saw is, "Hey, if you had any doubts that Delgarian threw that fight, just watch that fight."
Yeah, watch the Levitt and Delvalle fight because, Delgarian's a fantastic wrestler. But Levitt went out there, in his new weight class and showed to be pretty damn strong and pretty good.
Okay, Pete, though. Here's what I hate about that fight. The third round. First off, anyone that I saw scoring that fight 30-27 for Jordan Levitt, you don't know how to score MMA fights. I'm sorry. The dude ran and stalled for 4 minutes and 15 seconds. And you think he wins the round?
Yeah, I don't
because he does one reversal?
Yeah, I don't understand that either. But Delvalle he ran out of time, right? He ran out of time to even get going because Levitt just completely stifled him. In the 9,000 range, we also had Anthony Fluffy Hernandez get stopped by Sean Strickland. I mean, he's been notorious for being soft to the body in multiple fights. The Michelle Pereira fight, to a point, he got cracked to the body. You go whiles back, Kevin Holland hit him with a knee to the body, which led to the finish. Sean Strickland, was able to keep the fight on the feet and then punish him to the body. And the final combination was beautiful. I mean, whether you like Sean Strickland or not, I am personally not a fan, but he's very talented. He's a great fighter. So credit to him. And I actually think for the division, we'll be seeing Strickland versus Chimaev. I think that'll make all the sense in the world. And for me, you already know, my money's on Chimaev to beat almost anybody. I don't know a name right now that'll beat my boy Chimaev.
Maybe the health. That may be what is the downside Chimaev. Yeah. I mean, this is the one thing, and I said this yesterday in my report podcast, is the unfortunate part about Sean Strickland is all the discussion is going to be what he said pre-fight, post-fight. It's not going to be about the amazing performance he had on Saturday night inside the octagon. Mm-hmm. That's the unfortunate part. And I understand that, look, because the things that Sean Strickland says is going to create clicks on social media, on MMA websites. But the fact is, he went out there and he put on a performance, and it'll be interesting to see what the UFC does with that division. I think there's a lot of different ways they could go. I would not be – look, I'll say this. There's not a lot of things that would shock me in this sport, but it would shock me if 𝗲𝗄𝘁𝘀 Chimaev, Sean Strickland, is booked for the White House card. No way in hell do I think that's on the White House card. For reasons on both sides.
Oh, yeah. I don't think Chimaev's going to be on it.
No. But, I don't think they put Sean Strickland on that card either.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, right? I mean, it's definitely a fight that's crazy. Yeah. I want to see that fight. I really do. I don't want to see Chimaev move up yet. I want to see him kind of clear out the division. Talk to him going to 205. Bro. I think he's got some people to eliminate before he does that.
How about be active?
Yeah, I mean, but maybe it's not him, though. You know, I don't necessarily know it's all on him. I mean, they're going to give him DDP again, and he'll just do exactly what he did, except worse. Kind of let the division sort itself out, and I think Strickland Chimaev is the fight to make.
Oh, no doubt about it. I'm with you in terms of that one. But, of course, we're here to talk about UFC Mexico. Of course, we got a 13-fight card. We did have 2 changes in the build-up to this fight. Of course, 𝗲𝗲 was supposed to be the guy in the main event taking on Moreno. Kavanagh steps up to take his spot. Kavanagh was scheduled to fight next month against Bruno Silva, and Regina Teran stepping in against for Montenegro, who pulled out of this fight. If you're not familiar with her, 21 years old, she actually recently tried out for the WWE, so she's now in this spot. But Pete, I think one of the things that has to be a talking point, not just from a fight aspect, from as we're building DFS lineups and we're building our parlays on the betting side of this, is the elevation of Mexico City. According to Google AI, it is 7,350 feet above sea level. You have trained at high elevation. Give a fighter's perspective on this.
Yeah, so I've been out in New Mexico at Albuquerque and Edgewood, New Mexico, and lived out there at Cowboys Cerrone's Ranch for quite some time. And I will tell you, I went out there in absolute peak condition. And I was struggling with my cardio, from rounds to pads to anything. It felt like I could never catch my breath. And it took me about 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks to really start to feel comfortable. So I would imagine 2+ weeks is the proper time for people to get acclimated, just based on my experience. And, if they train at elevation, say they went from Denver, Colorado to Mexico City, then I'm not worried, right? But if you're over here at sea level or below sea level, and then you're not, trying to acclimatize, and you're going to Mexico City, you're going to be in for a rude awakening, because, the elevation will really get to you, and it will zap you. And people that have fantastic cardio or fantastic skills, all of that can go out the window, and these big favorites can actually drop the ball. So we don't really know. This is why, on paper, this seems like, to me, one of the chalkiest cards of all time, where I think very few underdogs are appealing, in my personal opinion. Crazy odds attached to a lot of fighters that I don't necessarily agree with the number they're at, but I do think that they should be labeled a pretty good favorite. But the elevation can really just spoil a lot with this card. So don't be afraid to get different. Don't be afraid to kind of embrace the volatility and the variance within the elevation. And for me, right, I'm going to do my due diligence to go in these next 12 hours, 24 hours to look at the socials and see as best as I can who went out there early, who went out there trying to make sure that they set themselves up for success. Because let me tell you, if people are underestimating elevation, it's going to be a significant mistake that they're going to be in for a rude awakening. So somebody like Brandon Moreno, who's fought here 5 times, he's going to be very, very comfortable because he's dealt with it before.
Yeah. You know, I think as we talk about from a game theory aspect of UFC Mexico, and you look at all the massive favorites that we have, I mean, it's kind of, in a way, a weird slate on DraftKings. You look at, 8 fighters who are priced $9,000 and above. We only have 5 fighters in the 5,000 range. We have no fighter between 8,400 and 7,800. And we have 5 fighters who are below 7,000. And I know that I think King Green, just based on some of the things I've just seen in our Discord channel, it seems like he's going to be a guy that people are going to look at. And I completely understand that. You know, I look at someone like a Daniel Zellhuber, who's over a 5-1 betting favorite, priced at 9,400 DK. And I'm sitting there going, God, I don't know if I can trust him. Like there's you look at some of these fighters that are in this high 9,000 range, and like I'll point to someone, the second highest priced fighter on this slate, Francis Marshall at 9,600 on DraftKings. Yeah, he should win the fight, you know, but does he pay off that price tag? It kind of goes to what I talked about last week with 𝗃𝐢𝐬𝐳. I thought she was going to pay off that price tag because Juliana Miller is just, while she is a solid grappler, stand-up is just so bad. I mean, she's got heart, and, man, she almost pulled that thing off. But, like, I look at some of these high 9 price options. I mean, you know, as I look at those, you know, Christian Quinones hasn't fought in 2 years. Marshall, 2-3 in the UFC. I hate to say it, in the 9,000 range, and the only question is, does he get a stoppage? Santiago Luna may be the guy I have the most confidence in the 9,000 range.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I'm in agreement with you, right? Like, I don't necessarily agree with the crazy wide odds for a guy that's coming off a layoff, even though he's facing Chris Moutinho. Francis Marshall, he should absolutely, this is a pretty easy cut and dry fight. I think that he should be a step ahead of a guy that he has a 12-year age advantage on in Eric Silva. So he definitely should do well, but I don't know about paying off the price tag. Gandra, relatively unproven. Zellhuber just dropped the ball when he was 9,500 against Michael Johnson, and previous to that, he was 9,000 against Esteban 𝗵𝐲𝐻𝐵𝐻, and now he's going up against the guy in Bobby Green, who's older. You know, I just don't trust what I saw from Daniel Zellhuber. For me, I love the Santiago Luna, but I really like Imanol Rodriguez. I'm a big believer in his skill set. He has explosive hands, excellent combinations from the Ultimate Fighter to the Contender Series. I think that this kid, Imanol Rodriguez, in his UFC debut, should surprise some people with his aggressiveness. And I'm a big believer in both of the Luna and Rodriguez camp. So those guys are, you know, at a discount, 9,300 and 9,200 compared to the wider favorites. But yeah, I like those two the most within that range.
Yeah, I mean, and when I look at kind of those fighters in that 6K range, I mean, King Green is probably the one that sticks out the most. I just, the rest of those fighters in there, I really don't want to get into it. And that's where I think it's, you know, and I have not tried to develop any lineups on DraftKings yet.
It's hard.
So, yeah, I mean, just kind of looking at it, it's like, I feel like, you know, probably, I mean, and I know that, okay, let's just say I'm going to start a lineup with Santiago Luna. I'm probably looking at all these fighters in the 7K range, and I'm probably going, who are the at least 2, maybe, or 3 that I got to pick in that range?
Yeah, it's hard, Jason, because we don't have we don't have anything from 7,800 to 8,400. So, like, even when I could, like, maybe put a pick'em in there, you know, the coin flip 8,200, 8,000 fight, I can't this week. So, like, you can be completely dumpster diving with these 6,000 options, hoping that they do enough in a loss, which you already know is not just a winning type of strategy. Like, it's like, all right, well, you're let's say, like, the chances of winning are slim. Now it's not really going to help the ceiling of your lineup, which is in turn why I think that Loner Kavanagh is going to be one of the most popular underdogs on the slate at 7,500, because you're punting in a way for a guy in a 5-round fight in a flyweight division that, for the most part, tend to go the distance because of the lack of power. And then for me, it's like it opens the door for a fight stack, because it is a flyweight bout that is 5 rounds. Mainly because Moreno's priced in the mid range. So I'm completely on board with stacking this week, as opposed to, as far as hand building, in my personal opinion, as far as, like having faith in some of these 6 low 7,000 options.
Yeah, I mean, I just put it in the DraftKings. Let's just say you want to start your lineup with Luna and Kavanagh. Average remaining per player is 8,300.
Told you, there's nothing in that range. It's hard. It's really difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I look at that 7,000 range, and we'll get into more details on some of these fighters. Like, you look at, look at Chito Vera at 7,300. What scares the crap out of you with that one is he's a slow starter. And, we've already seen David Martinez pass the vet lesson in Rob Font. I mean, I can make a case for Wes Schultz.
Yep.
The grappling upside, but also, like, what if he just gasses out after going for all these takedowns? And, but also, I don't know if Damian Penis has got a ground game.
Yeah.
So I mean, just some of those things we'll get into. Of course, if you do got any questions, you can line that up in the chat. We'll get to those throughout the show. Let's get down to breaking this one. The main event is Brandon Moreno versus Loner Kavanagh. Kavanagh price is 7,500 on DK. Brandon Moreno price at 8,700. Enters here as a 2-1 betting favorite, plus 165 for Kavanagh. One of the, as I kind of look at some of my notes here, Pete, on this fight is, do you have faith in this version of Brandon Moreno? When you kind of see how he's looked in his past couple of fights, the 5 rounds, who do you favor? I would tend to favor, I'm going to favor Moreno because of the 5 rounds, kind of wondering what does Kavanagh look like if this fight hits the 4th in the 5th round. Of course, both these fighters are coming in off losses. And, the thing for Kavanagh is this is such a massive step up in competition, Pete. His 3 UFC fights, Jose Ochoa, Felipe dos Santos, and Charles Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, but when opportunity knocks, you got to answer that call. I mean, Kavanagh would be foolish to not accept this bout. He has been training for a bout, which was in the middle of March against Bruno Silva. And to be honest, like, I can draw some comparisons and some similarities between Bruno Silva and Brandon Moreno. Guys that have some good boxing to them, some wrestling. Obviously, Brandon Moreno is a multi-time champ. You got to put some respect on Brandon Moreno. And Moreno is going to have the home country backing him. So you're going into enemy territory, and you're trying to take out one of the biggest Mexican, if not the biggest Mexican superstars for MMA. So Brandon Moreno, though, with anything from -200 to -300, is probably based on his resume and his experience than what he's shown lately. Because, like, in the Steve Erceg fight for DFS, he scored 74.4. It was a clean performance, but it wasn't like the Brandon Moreno of old, the aggressive, the multiple takedowns. I mean, he landed only 1 takedown and landed 89 significant strikes. Just was a step ahead. In the 𝗵𝗂 fight, he only landed 9 significant strikes, was completely controlled, dominated on the ground, and pounded out in a very vulnerable situation where he scored only 3.8. So I think that Brandon Moreno is going to be looking to get back into the win column, obviously. It's a big moment for him to headline another card in Mexico City. He has the home field advantage. He has the experience of dealing with the altitude. I think that he gets stronger as the fights go on, whereas Loner Kavanagh has shown to be a very, very early, dangerous fighter. But as the fights stretch out, he tends to fade a little bit, and was most recently knocked out against Charles Johnson. So this is a weird situation because Brandon Moreno was scheduled to face basically a pure wrestler and grappler. Now it's a switch up to have a kickboxing matchup with Loner Kavanagh, who will look to complement rounds and put a stamp on rounds with takedowns. So, I think from stylistically, it's kind of a curveball towards Brandon Moreno, where he's going to have to dig deep and going to have to go to his bag of tricks. And I would imagine that he would like to wrestle the longer the fight goes, because as long as this is upright on the feet, I think Loner Kavanagh is live to win rounds and possibly win the fight. So, I think that Kavanagh is going to come out and, show how fast he is for the division. He's very crisp. He's very technical. Ilia Topuria mentioned how, Kavanagh's got a tremendous ceiling in the sport, and I would agree. He has shown some susceptibility to body shots, which have led to him actually getting finished to his chin as well, because he's starting to get zapped to the body, slowing down, starting to be a little bit more of a stationary target and getting hit. I think Moreno is wise enough to go to the body and start to start to build as the fight goes on. But I think early Kavanagh is very, very dangerous to look like the better fighter. Look to have a good reads on Brandon Moreno, be faster, cleaner combinations, and maybe this is going to turn out to be a 25-minute war, or Kavanagh starts off hot and starts to fade as the fight goes on, which Brandon Moreno starts to impose his will, take him down, land combinations on the feet, possibly even finish him on the feet, or look to submit him. So for me, I do love this fight, and they're both coming off of losses, which I find is interesting. Massive step up in competition for Lohner Kavanagh, which I think provides a little bit of variance. I actually think that Lohner Kavanagh is better than what he's even shown in his 3 UFC fights. So I'm still picking Brandon Moreno to win this fight, but this version of Brandon Moreno has not looked undeniable. It has not looked championship caliber, but he back in 2024 he did beat 𝗲𝘲𝘁𝘀 over a 5-round decision as well. So for me personally, for DFS, because the underdogs are so few that I believe in, I'm personally okay with and will be stacking the fight in hopes it touches the later rounds. I just need Lohner Kavanagh to go out there and not get finished early, and go out there and try to grasp the opportunity and make a name for himself by being aggressive, not being too tentative. And I'm hoping that this is going to go 5 rounds or touch the championship rounds, but I will be picking Brandon Moreno here at 8,700.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I just think I sit back and I look at this, Pete, and I just don't know how much I have faith in Brandon Moreno at this point. I mean, for Lohner Kavanagh, this is an amazing opportunity. I mean, you're coming off, if you had told him you're going to get, stopped by Charles Johnson, and then the next fight you're going to be in a main event against Brandon Moreno, he would have said, hell yeah, let me get that fight. And I do wonder about Kavanagh and the cardio. What's it like if this thing hits round 4 or round 5? I'm with you. I think Brandon Moreno is the right side to go with this one. I mean, I would almost, and I would say this, I might look, this may be a live betting aspect of, if Moreno gets off to a slow start, we may get a really good number on Brandon Moreno as opposed to what the number is sitting at minus 200. But yeah, I'm with you in terms of pick on that one. Then our co-main event will be Vera taking on David Martinez. Martinez price at 8,900 on DK. Cheeto price at 7,300. Cheeto a plus 220. Betting Underdog minus 275 for David Martinez. And kind of like I mentioned earlier, the same narrative with Cheeto is certainly there. That we've always seen with Cheeto. He's a slow starter to me. I hate to kind of get the Cheeto in 3-round fights just because more times than not he's going to lose that opening round. But he's lost 3 straight against O'Malley, Figueiredo, and Zahabi. And 4 of his last 5 have gone the distance. And Martinez only his 3rd fight here in the UFC. He passed that vet lesson in his last fight against Rob Font. And, the price point is similar to what we saw last week with Costa taking on 𝗲𝗍𝐁𝐽, Pete.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting thing that you say that, because Marlon Vera has been pretty damn durable. 𝗲𝗍𝐁𝐽 has been pretty damn durable. It would be an absolute statement if Martinez was able to go out there and finish Marlon Vera. Definitely possible. And given the speed, the footwork, and the combinations that Martinez throws with, it's hard for me not to pick him here. I mean, he is going to win round 1 unless Marlon Vera comes out a completely different fighter, which he's most likely not going to. I don't remember how many round 1s Marlon Vera has actually won in his career. But I will tell you that Martinez's volume and just his speed and even the striking differential for 1.9 for Martinez. Meanwhile, Marlon Vera sits at minus 1.12 because Vera's just taking pictures and he's okay with letting his opponents go first. He's getting reads. He's waiting for counters instead of, being like Martinez, who's being the aggressor, being the guy pushing, being the guy that's initiating combinations. So based on Vera's durability, based on Vera's slow pace, based on everything I've seen within his career, I'm going to be picking David Martinez here to win a decision over Marlon Vera. Personally, not one of my favorite spots on the card, just because most likely this goes to a decision or possibly a split decision because Vera, he's a good fighter. He is a very good fighter. If he went out like he is in round 3, rounds 1 and 2, I think we'd be talking about a different fight. But I mean, I've seen it too many times to think otherwise. So, for a fight that will probably end up going the distance, having a minus 300 tag attached to it is a little wide, but I understand because Vera just doesn't do anything, and Martinez will be busy. So give me David Martinez here. 8,900, not my favorite DFS play, though. I just don't see too much of a ceiling. And if it does occur and he does finish Marlon Vera, then that was a small percentage in likelihood. But, I think that Martinez has the skills to put on a show here in Mexico City.
By the way, just yesterday, I went into my sportsbook app. I did a parlay with every Mexican fighter on this card.
Mm-hmm.
7 of them. 4-1.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, that's pretty bad.
Bad. On the betting side of this one, I mean, there's nothing that really sticks out to me. I mean, the Martinez decision, minus 165, would be the one that probably sticks out the most to me. I think Dave Martinez gets the job done. I just think overall we've seen the better days of Chito Vera, but who knows? Maybe Chito goes out there but also even at that price tag of 7,300, it's just tough to trust Chito in coming out and scoring points early on in that matchup. Next up, we got a lightweight matchup between Daniel Zellhuber and King Green. Zellhuber priced at 9,400 on DK, 6,800 for King Green. On the betting side of the equation, King Green plus 400 betting underdog, Zellhuber minus 525. That number's been going up, which
that's crazy.
I'm blown by it. I mean, Zellhuber's lost back-to-back fights against 𝗵𝐸𝐺 and Michael Johnson. 500 fighter in the UFC. 5 of 6 UFC fights have gone the distance. King Green coming off that win against Lance Gibson Jr. 4 of his last 6 fights have ended in the first round. But my thing about Zellhuber in this spot is, and you could probably say very much the same thing about King Green, clear reason not to trust him, Pete.
Yeah, I mean, I don't trust the tag minus 500 just because of what Zellhuber's shown in the past. Zellhuber's a very talented fighter, very, very good. It's the same guy that beat Francisco Prado, Christos Giagos, Lando Venata, but dropped the ball against Esteban Ríbovich. Granted, that was an absolute war. He scored 58 in a loss. He knocked down Esteban Ríbovich, landed 121 significant strikes, scored 58 in a loss, and then, in his most recent fight against Michael Johnson, went out a little too tentative, talked the big game, and ended up dropping the ball to a vet, got the vet lesson from Michael Johnson, scoring 21 into the 15-minute decision, but only landing 52 significant strikes. And I think that's because of the speed of Michael Johnson, the opposite stances as well, and just the angles and combinations, and just the educated boxing that Michael Johnson has. In this fight, Zellhuber needs to get out and pump his jab, use his range, because he has a 13-year advantage over Bobby Green and 9 inches in height plus reach department. So if he does not utilize his long attacks, his jab, his cross, his front kicks, then he's playing into the hands of Bobby Green, who will start to have some antics, who will start to walk him down, throw some combinations with his hands at his hips, talk to him, and try to try to get Zellhuber to engage in a brawl rather than a technical kickboxing match. Bobby Green's very good. King Green's very good. King Green can wrestle as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see King Green look to wrestle in moments just because he has it in his back pocket. And Zellhuber is just going to – he should give him problems at the end of his punches. So if Bobby Green does get close, you could see Bobby possibly look to implement some takedowns. He lands 1.21 takedowns per 15 minutes. 40% accuracy is about 3 attempted per 15 minutes. But based on Zellhuber's very good takedown defense and his length, I just think it's just ways to clinch up with Zellhuber, to corral him a little bit, to kind of make the fight uglier. Because as long as this fight is pretty on the outside, I think Zellhuber should coast to a 15-minute decision or possibly a KO victory, because the UFC is doing everything in their power to try to get Zellhuber a nice win so that he can become another Mexican household name, if he isn't already, and continue to rise within the stardom for Mexican MMA. Because the 𝗍𝗲𝘁'𝘀 fight was amazing. The Michael Johnson fight, it didn't happen. So hand him another veteran in Bobby Green, King Green. And I think that Zellhuber should show that he's educated in his boxing enough to outpoint Bobby Green, and patient enough and smart enough to not be vulnerable in certain situations. So give me Zellhuber here at 9,400, but I do not like the number. I just don't like the DFS salary. -500 for a guy that just dropped the ball as a -600-700 over Michael Johnson. What's his confidence like? Because if he loses back-to-back fights to veterans and Michael Johnson and Bobby Green, we could be looking at one of the we could be looking at something to talk about for some time, because everybody believes in Zellhuber, and I think that he's very good. He just needs to go out there and show it, and be the same fighter he was in the 𝗍𝗲𝘁'𝘀, Prado, Giagos, and Lando Venata fight. So he needs to get off quick instead of just sitting there waiting. So give me Zellhuber to win a decision here at 9,400. I don't hate people wanting to get to Bobby Green. I just think the 9 inches in the height and reach department are going to give him some fits. I also think the 13-year age gap is going to give him some fits. I love Bobby Green as far as like an underdog play, but I just don't think this is the matchup to like it.
And Bobby's going to talk to him.
Yeah, 100%.
That's one of those things, and I'm sure in leading up to this fight, that's what his sparring partners have been doing for him, getting him ready for that. I mean, it's the price tag, of having that faith. I mean, I think it's when you look at the reach advantage that Zellhuber has in this matchup with the 6 inches, he should just sit on the outside, but I do just get concerned that, gets a little too confident and he gets in the pocket there. That's why I like, from a betting side of this one, you know what, I would look at 2 sprinkle bets.
Okay.
Green, just take the money line plus 400. Or if you want to live a little dangerous, inside the distance at plus 1,000.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just because of the number. It's not that I have confidence in Green going out there and winning. It's more about just the number is so juicy that, just put like a quarter unit on that one.
I mean, outside of the Grant Dawson finish, Bobby Green for me is a guy that kind of is like a decision type of guy, which is why the Grant Dawson performance really surprised me. I like the 6,800 is going to make him way more popular than he should be, in my personal opinion. But I mean, this fight is completely dependent on Zellhuber, which Zellhuber shows up, because he could make this look easy.
And a comment coming in here in the YouTube chat from AFC Angelo: in theory, I would like Green here, but don't really love Zellhuber for the price and for what's around him. But Green is a tough sell in 2026. I like him more than everyone under him, but that's about it. And that's a solid point. I mean, I think that a lot of people are probably going to get to King Green this week just because of that price point and just hoping that he can go out there and get it. But, it's just a price. It's all about price for me in terms of that one. But Zellhuber, I would say I have more confidence in him getting the win than I have at King Green at this stage in both of their careers. Next up, we got Chairez taking on Felipe. Felipe priced at 7,200 on DK. Edgar Chairez is priced at 9,000. He's a -350 betting favorite. Felipe comes in here as a plus 260 betting underdog. This is where we start kind of getting into the X fighter has not fought since. So for Chairez, he has not fought in 11 months, was scheduled to fight back in September, but pulled out due to a leg injury. Felipe on the other side, 1-2 in the UFC, coming off a loss back in August. And both of these fighters, Pete, do have stoppage losses to the current champion, Joshua Van.
Yeah, I mean, this fight's going to be pretty exciting in my opinion. I mean, I think Edgar Chairez and Bunes are both dangerous in their own right. I think Chairez is opportunistic and with submissions, but pretty dangerous boxing. I think that Bunes' jiu-jitsu is very dangerous, so Chairez needs to be wise to that. Chairez is 6 years younger, has 2 inches in the height and reach department. As a minus 325 favorite, I mean, like, Chairez has lost to elite company, and I think that he should be okay here. He just has to stay out of the guard of Felipe Bunes. He needs to land his harder shots. I really like this fight, and I think personally that Bunes can be one of the better underdogs to target, just because the fight should be competitive. Whereas we're seeing a lot of mismatches in a lot of the other ones, or ones where the underdog, we don't have tremendous amounts of faith in him at all. Bunes has shown that he can pick up a win. I mean, he submitted Johnson in round 1. I told you he's very, very dangerous. He got completely smoked in the wrestling department against Esteban, and then he got knocked out against Joshua Van. Chairez, on the other hand, is coming off a very nice sneaky submission over CJ Vergara. The decision loss to Joshua Van, and then the crazy fights against Luan Lacerda, and then Tatsuro Taira defeat. But I could take some positives from those. He went 15 minutes with both Tatsuro Taira, and he went 15 minutes with Joshua Van. I don't think many people can do that. So for me, I do like Edgar Chairez. I think he hits a little bit harder. He seems a little bit meaner in there. Bunes is his jiu-jitsu, his arm bars, his triangles, like, he's very active, but I think that Chairez is wise enough to stay safe. If you don't get submitted by Tatsuro Taira, and you threaten Tatsuro Taira, I have pretty strong faith that you're going to be okay in a matchup with Felipe Bunes. So for me, I like Chairez to edge this one out. I think Bunes can make it look close early, but once Chairez hurts him to the body, or Chairez lands with some nice combinations upstairs, I think we're going to see Bunes start to break a little bit, and then whether Chairez wraps up the neck or he KOs him, I think that he's going to walk away with his hand up. So give me Chairez here at 9,000.
Yeah, I definitely don't blame you in terms of that. Another comment coming here, AFC Angelo. Don't think I want more than 17K and under fighter. Slate screams stars and scrubs. I like Chairez a decent bit, especially at only 9K. Minus 325 feels high. Minus 163 inside the distance. Chairez discount from the upper 9K tier. I totally get, trying to get to that discounted rate in terms of that, just because we have so many 9,000 options this week. Of course, appreciate everyone tuning in to this episode of Fight HQ. Of course, be sure to hit that thumbs up button if you're watching this episode on YouTube. If you're not subscribed to the channel, all you gotta do is hit that subscribe button. Of course, you can join Pete's Patreon page, where you can get access to all the tools that Pete has. Pete, you were telling me right before the show there is something you've added to the tools here.
Yeah, I'm always trying to add things to the tools and to the sheet, just to make things easier, all on one sheet, so you can look when you're making bets, when you're making your lineups. So I added a column that shows how many fights that fighter has had from 2024 on, which I do find to be helpful, right? Because we do have so many fighters with layoffs. And this is what kind of made me think of this idea, because I'm like, man, when's the last time I saw this guy? So Eric Silva, for instance, has one fight from 2024 and on. Douglas Silva de Andrade, one fight. Christian Quinones, one fight. And Angel Pacheco, one fight too. So I wanted to see, like, in comparison, wow, this guy's had one fight. This guy's had 5 in the past 2 years. So I love targeting active fighters versus inactive fighters. And I just thought it was a nice little helpful way. So from all sorts of stats, from projections to strike ratios, takedowns attempted, all of that, all on one sheet, a part of my Patreon. If you're a part of it, thank you guys for supporting me. And if you're interested, the Patreon link is down below.
Let's move over to our next fight. We got a fighter making his UFC debut, taking on a fighter that, well, is probably fighting for his spot on the UFC roster. You got Rodriguez making his UFC debut, taking on Borjas. Borjas priced at $7,000 on DK. Rodriguez priced at $9,200, a -450 betting favorite. Plus 350 for Borjas in this situation. I mentioned 1-3 in the UFC. And one of the things that sticks out to you is his first 6 fights, all were finishes, and now 4 of his last 5 have gone to the distance. Rodriguez was a part of the Ultimate Fighter season 33, went 1-1 in that show. The loss came against Joseph Morales prior to coming to the Ultimate Fighter and the UFC, competing in Fury FC, and I think everyone's kind of heard my thoughts about that. Fury FC is one of those regional promotions I really like because I think for the most part they make sure fighters are getting fights to show that, to get them ready for this level, Pete.
Yeah, I mean, I love this fight, and I'm planting my flag that I'm a big fan of Imanol Rodriguez, who's priced at 9,200 and is a -455 favorite. So he's going up against Kevin Borjas, who is a plus 350 underdog, priced at 7,000. And, we've targeted Borjas as an underdog before, and he's come through for us. And that was against Ronaldo Rodriguez, where he was able to win a unanimous decision, scoring 73.4. But he's also had other matchups where he was able to possibly pick up another victory, and he's dropped the ball. You could think about the Costa performance. We can leave the Joshua Van one alone because Joshua Van is an absolute stud. But how about the Sumer Derji fight? I mean, he really never got off, and he didn't look good. The Peruvian Kevin Borjas, for me, is just an underdog to target in certain matchups. Now, he likes to kickbox. He absolutely likes to kickbox. He has not landed a takedown in the UFC yet. I do think that he could possibly look to take down Rodriguez because he's not going to like the hands that are coming his way. But for me, these are 2 strikers. And Imanol Rodriguez, from the Ultimate Fighter to the Dana White's Contender Series, has shown that he has killer instinct. He has amazing combinations, and he's very, very aggressive. He's just somewhat young for a guy that, he's facing an opponent who's having his 5th UFC fight. And this is Imanol Rodriguez's UFC debut. So, experience could possibly be a factor of Borjas kind of being out there, being a little bit more measured. But having the experience from the Ultimate Fighter, losing to the guy that ended up winning the entire thing, and then having a Dana White's Contender Series fight, to me, it just seems like the kid's ready. And I think that he's well prepared and experienced enough to deal with it. I mean, Imanol Rodriguez is probably my favorite 9,000 option, to be honest, from a fight film standpoint. I love what I'm seeing. I think the kid is absolutely skilled. Daniel Cormier loves the kid as well. Big fan of him. I think the future is bright, and I think that we could have a legitimate fighter within this division. And this is just a start. I mean, already to have a -450 price tag attached to you in your UFC debut is pretty damn impressive. And at first I was like, man, why is this kid so heavily favored? And then I went back and watched the tape. I'm like, okay, I like it. I think it's going to be competitive on the feet until Rodriguez starts to land some shots, and then he's going to slowly take over. And I think he's going to end up either hurting Borjas to the body, or his volume is going to be too much for Borjas to handle. And I think we're going to get a TKO. So give me 9,200, Imanol Rodriguez. Big fan. Borjas is going to bring it, but I think that Rodriguez is going to welcome it and just shine under the lights. So give me Rodriguez.
Yeah, I'm lucky Rodriguez in a spot, and I'm glad that you brought up DC. DC really big on this kid, and Angelo saying might be on an island here, but I like Borjas here. Until recently, he was improving with each fight and just had a setback. The line is too wide for Rodriguez's UFC debut. Borjas, really solid striking. I get that. I mean, and we always talk about this, especially fighters coming off the AOS Contender Series, coming off the Ultimate Fighter, of sitting back and just being a little concerned about what they're going to look like. And we appreciate everyone who's chiming in here live here on the YouTube chat. As always, we appreciate everyone who tunes in to the Fight HQ podcast. Next up, we got Santiago Luna taking on Angel Pacheco. Pacheco priced at 6,900, Luna 9,300. Luna a minus 650 betting favorite, plus 450 for Pacheco here. On the other side, of course, we saw Santiago Luna win his UFC debut back in September. Only 21 years old. All of his finishes have come, all of his wins have come via finish. 5 of those coming in the first round for Pacheco. Haven't seen him, in 2 years, March 2024. He's lost back-to-back fights, one being on Contender Series, one being in the UFC. But, the one thing that we sit back and we think about in terms of this fight and Santiago Luna, Pacheco has never been finished, Pete.
Yeah, I think that's changing this weekend. I do. I think it's changing this weekend. I mean, Santiago Luna has had 4 fights since 2024. Pacheco's had 1. Pacheco's absolutely dog tough. Pacheco is tough. He will be there and he will fight as long as he's conscious. And he's been able to remain conscious, even if he's been dominated in certain fights. He's there. Like, he had that absolute war with Danny Silva on the Contender Series. He got completely dominated against 𝗮𝗲 on the ground in the UFC. So for me, I think that Angel Pacheco's tough enough to make the fight close if Luna somehow gasses, right? Like, if Luna fatigues and Luna does not find an early finish, a guy that is just tough and still standing in front of you can win rounds and make the fight competitive, even if you're the better fighter, because Luna is clearly the better fighter here. I think that Luna has a significant edge on the feet. I think the athleticism is clearly in the Luna's favor. He's 13 years younger. He has 5 inches in the height and reach department. But for me, what I saw was the 𝗮𝗲 really exposed some poor wrestling and grappling from Angel Pacheco. And when you have Angel Pacheco's takedown defense sitting at 28% now, I think that Santiago Luna, who's not just a striker, who has good submission skills, should look to exploit that, right? Hit him with heavy shots, get him really worried about the hands, change levels, look to take his back, look to choke him out with a rear naked choke, or look to just beat him up and control him on the ground. I mean, 𝗮𝗲, I'm not the biggest believer, and he dominated Angel Pacheco where there was an arguable 10-8 round in round 2, and then it was clear 30-27 or 30-26. So for me, I think that Santiago Luna's in a great spot. I kind of view Imanol Rodriguez and Santiago Luna like 1A, 1B for me this week. I like them both. Obviously, they're both relatively unproven, but look at what we got to deal with on this card. I mean, there's a lot of favorites that I just don't love, and I love the upside that Imanol and Santiago Luna both possess. So for me, I think whether it's on the feet, he's going to be a step ahead. Possibly, Pacheco's too tough for his own damn good. Who's another really good fighter that is too tough for his own damn good is Benoit Saint-Denis. And 𝐼𝐬𝐼𝐧 dos Santos beat the hell out of him and then forced the referee to intervene in a fight that should have been stopped numerous times. I mean, a situation like that could arise. Santiago Luna already dropped his opponent twice in his UFC debut, Quang Le. So I'm a big Santiago Luna fan this week at 9,300. I like him and Imanol quite a bit.
Yeah, when I look at this one, Pete, Santiago is probably one of my most confident plays that I have here this week. Sam, appreciate your super chat. We'll get to that question when we get towards the end of the show when we start answering some questions here. Joey T checking in said Luna has potential for early takedown city and live for a sub. If Lawford is taking down Pacheco with ease, imagine Luna. And then even Joey saying, yep. Pete must have saw my notes.
See, I love it. I appreciate it, Joey. But that's my thinking too, right? Like, I'm not the biggest 𝗮𝗲 fan, not fan, but believer, right? Like
Yeah.
I didn't think that he had tremendous ceiling within the division. And I think that, there is some ceiling for Santiago Luna, at least as a Mexican star.
And I think always I sit back and concerned about a fighter who hasn't fought in nearly 2 years and even finished bringing up the fact of Luna was dropped once early on too. I mean, look, it happens to everybody. Yep. You step into competition, you're gonna
𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐜𝐵 hits hard though. I don't think that Pacheco hits like 𝗃𝐬𝐬𝐜, but yes, you are correct.
Yeah. Let's move over. Next up, we got another high price option. Ryan here at price at 9,500, and I'm my 650 betting favorite taking on Medina at 6,700, and he is a plus 475. UFC debut here for Ryan. Won on the Contender Series back in August, a first round TKO. Medina 0-3 in the UFC. If you count the Contender Series, that would make him 0-4. I don't. To me, I just look at this fight, Pete, as Medina is a X out for me, just right from the start.
I would say based on elevation, I wouldn't X anybody out just because weird shit can happen. I mean, Medina is from Bolivia. Gandra is Brazilian. It's not like the home crowd's really going to be influencing much here. But Medina is like Angel Pacheco to a point, just so tough that if you kind of like, beat him up too much and exhaust yourself, he can kind of Homer Simpson his way back into a fight. Where when you're exhausted, he can work his way into winning rounds or winning moments or possibly come back and win the fight. The problem is that Medina is just not all that skilled. Gandra should be the superior boxer here. Gandra should be the superior fighter. I just, from his fight film too, I'm not like completely sold on him. I think they're both pretty low level. For the UFC, but I would say that Medina's not even UFC level. He's just a guy that's willing to accept fights against tough opposition. The price tag on both is crazy. I think the Gandra 9,500 minus 675 price tag is largely due to his opponent and not so much about Gandra's skill set. Yes, he's looked good. He looked good on the Contender Series, but I don't know. I can possibly see Gandra being one of these guys that we label as untrustworthy going forward. He just has to pass this Medina test. And I worry about the elevation affecting some of these random fighters that are not acclimated. I did see Gandra looking throughout his training that he was, working with a training mask, an elevation mask. That's better than nothing, but getting actually, acclimated to the town or the city in which you're fighting would be the priority. Or a hyperbaric chamber, something like that. I mean, it's better than nothing, but I do worry about some of these random fighters in these matchups because like Medina could literally just still stay there, not get knocked out and somehow work his way into the fight and win. But I can't expect a 5% outcome to occur. So I'm going to be picking Gandra here. I think he'll be pretty damn popular because most people know that Medina's not good. But like I said, I like Santiago Luna and I like Imanol Rodriguez a lot more than Ryan Gandra.
Yeah, you mentioned a great point, but I mean, look, Gandra should go out there and win this fight. There's not a doubt in my mind. I just can't. Friends don't let friends put Jose Medina in their lineups.
In 150 max, you just put whoever, but you do not hand build and put him in it.
No,
the only person that's completely smoked Medina was 𝗃𝗏𝘁𝑻, and I think any human being is gonna go down from that knee. I mean, Dusko Todorovic did submit him, but I mean, I see this being a striking matchup where Gandra eventually cracks Medina, hurts him, and they both get exhausted and they hug each other on the cage.
Next up, we got a female matchup, one of two female fights on this card. Ailin Perez taking on Macy Chiasson. Chiasson priced at 7,700 on DK, 8,500 for Perez, who's a minus 185 betting favorite. Plus 115 for Chiasson. Of course, Ailin talked this week, said, hey, if my opponent doesn't make weight, I'm not taking this fight. Macy Chiasson did make weight. This will be the first fight for Perez in 11 months. But Pete, this is simply is you tell me this fight plays out on the ground, I know I want a roster. If it plays on the feet, I certainly know who I want to roster.
Yeah, I have this lined as a very close fight. I mean, I honestly would say it's like a pick'em, which I believe is what it opened as. Ailin Perez has awesome wrestling, really, really good wrestling. When she's able to get on top, she's able to keep her opponents down. She has been looking to implement some ground and pound, look to locate a submission, and just kind of win control time and win moments. On the feet, though, I think that she is SOL. I really do. I think that Macy Chiasson is going to be levels above. And as fights have gone on, and when Ailin Perez has been unable to find a finish, we have seen her gas tank look to be a little sketchy at times, and one where she's almost pulled guard and been on her back and been vulnerable, where I'm like, man, a better fighter right there is going to pound you out and finish you. A better fighter is going to threaten the neck, and a better fighter is going to take over as the fight goes on, because it's great when you're in the driver's seat and you are the hammer, but what happens when you're the nail? How do you deal with that adversity? Do you crumble, or do you push through the adversity, and then do you look to implement your game again? I mean, Ailin Perez should look good early if she's able to land takedowns. The problem is that she's 3 years younger than Macy Chiasson, which is great. But in the height and reach department, I think she's going to struggle with how tall Macy Chiasson is, how Macy's able to defend takedowns against the cage. And also on the feet, Macy's able to kind of keep her at the end of her punches with long-ranged attacks. I mean, Macy Chiasson's takedown defense is 72%. That's pretty damn good. But the problem is Ailin Perez, she lands 4.68 takedowns per 15 minutes with 46% accuracy. Means she's attempting 10 takedowns per 15 minutes, but based on Macy's takedown defense, it means she's getting about 2.8 in this fight in a perfect world. I don't think it's going to go perfectly, though, because I do think that there is a wide gap of skill on the feet. I'm happy that Macy Chiasson made weight, because now this fight can go and continue. And I also like the fact that Macy made 135. She didn't make 136. You know what I mean? So I think the way to navigate this slate this week, because I'm not a big believer in some of these terrible underdogs, I think it's to target women's MMA. And I really, really think so. So for me, I'm going to be picking Macy Chiasson. I understand that she gets taken down and she can be controlled at times. I understand that Macy Chiasson is coming off of 2 defeats to Ketlen Vieira and Yana Santos. I would love to see Ailin Perez against either one of those, because I don't think it goes the same way it has for her against Ashley Evans-Smith, 𝗮𝗲𝘁𝑀. Edwards win, I'll give her that one's a really nice one. Zellhuber and Karol Rosa, which the Karol Rosa one was a little interesting because I think Carol's the better fighter, but just not that night. She kind of just got out-muscled. Macy's a big, big fighter for the division, and I'm going to be picking Macy Chiasson as a slight underdog here at 7,700. This is my way of developing lineups this week, but this fight to me seems like we need to have it a part of your lineups, whether you're on the Perez side or the Chiasson side. I can see Chiasson finishing Perez in round 3. But she's going to have to deal with getting back to her feet, making Perez work, making Perez tire and fatigue. And then, when she's at space, brutalizing Perez with straight punches, front kicks up the middle, knees, elbows in the clinch, making it dirty. And that's the way Chiasson can win this fight, because she's going to get controlled a lot.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at this from a betting side, one of the things I do look at as a sprinkle bet is Ailin Perez wins via submission. At plus 1,100, Angelo saying 8,500 versus 7,700. Odds are Perez minus 184, Chiasson plus 145. But I agree, it's a near flip. Prices don't show that there. There's a lot of value. Macy, just line price alone, it'll be over for sure. I mean, look, it is definitely I want to get to both fighters in this equation because I see the takedown upside with Ailin, but also I see the striking upside. And you bring up a great point there. Also, you got to note Macy Chiasson, a 6-inch reach advantage. So she might be able to just pick her apart from the outside in terms of this one. Next up, we got Quinones taking on Moutinho. Christian Quinones priced at 9,700 DK, the most expensive as a minus 650 betting favorite. Moutinho priced at 6,500 and a plus 475. Betting underdog. First fight in 2 years for Christian Quinones. He has lost back-to-back fights, both coming via rear naked choke. Was supposed to fight Adrian Yanez in November. He pulled out of that fight, so a much better fight for him in this equation, taking on Chris Moutinho. Moutinho, we've not seen him since June of 2024, now in his second stint in the UFC. And, P, I think clearly Moutinho has got to get a win if he wants to keep his roster spot.
Yeah, so very interesting fight, right? Like, I don't like the fact that Christian Quinones is a minus 675 favorite, priced at 9,700, having only one fight since 2024, whereas Chris Moutinho is plus 490, 6,500, very, very cheap, really, really cheap. And has had 3 fights since 2024. The issue here is that Christian Quinones has 4 years. He's 4 years younger than Chris Moutinho, and has 3 inches in the height and reach department. Christian is not a terrible grappler by any means. He will actually look to implement grappling. 1.37 takedowns landed per 15 minutes. 37% accuracy means he's attempting about 3.7. We haven't seen Chris Moutinho grapple in the UFC yet. And I have to tell you, that's how I know this kid from the regional scene and how I know of him from my jiu-jitsu coach and other people that are in the New England scene, is that Moutinho's ground game is really solid, like really solid. The issue is he's so content to stand on the feet and he's very hittable. The good things for Chris Moutinho is that he's a southpaw, typically give people issues. He's aggressive, sometimes to a fault. His hands are good. His striking defense is not. If he went out here and he threw combinations into takedown attempts, I would say 6,500 doesn't really show the actual skill set. And I just don't think that he's shown the skill set that he's shown on the regional scene, because he's picking up regional wins. And this is the same guy that has a win over 𝗲𝗲 over, on the regional scene. Granted, it was some time ago, but still, it's like the skills are there for Chris Moutinho. And honestly, the activity is in his favor. He's had 3 fights since 2024. Christian Quinones has had 1 fight. But yeah, I mean, this is a situation where, like, you got to go out there. Yeah, you had a unanimous decision over 𝗲𝗲 back in 2018. Go out there and use all your skills, because you're so hittable on the feet. That chin has been zapped by Malcolm Wellmaker. It has also been zapped by Guido Canetti, of all people, and then Sean O'Malley. I mean, Guido Canetti, that should have been an easy victory, and it was not. So, I mean, as much as the 3 fights in 2024 favor Chris Moutinho, and as much of a good ground specialist that I know he is, I just don't think he's going to look to go out there and fight that particular way. So I don't like the price tag on Quinones. He's aggressive, he hits hard, and he has submission skills as well. I think that he could find a finish over Chris pretty early. But if this gets stretched out, maybe the inactivity pays a toll on Quinones, and that's when you start to see Chris Moutinho maybe work his way into winning the fight. But I mean, his durability has been so bad, and just the strategy is the problem that I have, because if this was a grappling bout, I think that I'd be picking Chris Moutinho, but this is MMA, guys. So Christian Quinones should win here at 9,700.
Yeah, I'm with you in terms of that. I mean, Christian should win this one, but I will say that a slight concern would be the layoff there. But I just, in the UFC, I just can't have faith in Moutinho. That's just where I'm kind of at in terms of that. Next up, we got Douglas Silva de Andrade taking on Javier Reyes. Andrade price is 7,600. Reyes at 8,600. He's a minus 240. Betting fair plus 190. for Douglas Silva de Andrade, the move up to featherweight here for this one. How much do you trust a 4-year-old moving at 45, and he hasn't fought in 2 years? Last time we saw him was in June of 2024. UFC debut here for Reyes, won on the Contender Series. And the thing that stuck out to me is, just when kind of looking at his road to the UFC, Pete, I thought his strength of schedule on the regional scene was not too bad.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, this is an interesting spot because Douglas Silva de Andrade, when you look at his record, I mean, he's got an impressive record. He is 29-6 overall. Javier Reyes is 22-5. But Douglas Silva de Andrade has, made a career in the UFC. And to only lose 6 times in 35 fights is really impressive. The issue is that he is 40 years old now. So we have Javier Reyes, 8 years younger than Douglas Silva de Andrade, 5 inches in the height plus reach department, priced at $8,600 for his UFC debut. This is another situation why I wanted to show this on the sheet. Douglas Silva de Andrade, Jason, has had 1 fight since 2024. Javier Reyes has had 7 fights since 2024. So super active, one of the highest rated Tapology prospects coming out in some time. So I think that Javier Reyes is pretty good. I think he hits hard. I think he's educated. I don't think that he is the cleanest, most technical striker in the world. But he should have the edge over Douglas Silva de Andrade, who really is a low volume guy who has good power and good submission skills. I like what I've seen from Javier Reyes. I mean, he's had defeats in the past where he's been knocked out in 2024. But the strength of schedule has been really, really good. And I don't view Douglas Silva de Andrade as a dangerous fighter in 2026. So, I mean, initially when I looked at the salaries, I'm like, I don't know who Reyes is. I like Douglas Silva de Andrade. He's an underdog, 7,600. And then I'm like, okay, well, Douglas Silva de Andrade is 40. He doesn't really do much. You know that he's a shitty DFS player to begin with. So it's not like you're getting an absolute ceiling monster from Douglas Silva de Andrade. In a win over Cody Stamann, he scored 56. And I'm just like, yeah, I mean, I don't see the Sergey Morozov crazy war with 3 knockdowns and a second round submission scoring 120 points. I don't see that ever happening again. So I'm picking the younger guy who I think is actually skilled in 2026 and dangerous enough to beat a veteran and Douglas Silva de Andrade. So give me Reyes here at 8,600. I just think that de Andrade can make you fight at his pace, which is a shitty DFS pace.
Yeah, the age, the inactivity, the move up now in weight are all just red flags for me in terms of this matchup. Then we got to our other female matchup on the card, Regina Terrain taking on Ernesto Caracate. Caracate priced at 9,100. Of course, changing opponent here on fight week. Terrain priced at 7,600. She's a plus 155 betting underdog, minus 190 for Ernesto in this position. Look, when I look at Regina, strength of schedule, I have a lot of questions about in terms of who she's fought to this point. But look, she's young, 21 years old. Caracate, 3rd fight in the UFC, 1-1 in the promotion. She's gone the distance in 6 straight fights, Pete. And I keep thinking about this fight, and I go, I wonder, is this the sneaky 9,000 option this week?
I mean, it should be, right? Ernesto Caracate should be a sneaky option because she's fighting a last minute replacement. And you know that she's a high volume striker. The issue I have though is that I can look at her strength of schedule as well and poke holes at it because the strength of schedule has been terrible. She has fought 3 solid fighters in Carly Judice on the Contender Series where she won. It was a split decision. Diana Barboza, she lost. And then most recently, Nicole Cagliari, which was a split decision. I'm not sold on Caracate. She kind of gives me Marina Moroz or what's the Polish girl that trains at American Top Team that used to be pretty solid, but was known for just being in exciting fights.
You think about 𝗃𝐢𝐬𝐽𝐜?
Yes, she kind of gives me 𝗃𝐢𝐬𝐽𝐜 vibes. Where it's just, thank you for that. Where she's just aggressive, throws high volume, she's hittable, she can be taken down. And I think like she's nothing special. I mean, when you are facing a fighter on short notice and you've been preparing a whole camp, on paper you should go out there and smoke them. And normally, I would say an 18, 19, 20-year-old fighter is a red flag to like back them with any faith just because they're too young for the moment. But in this circumstance, being in Mexico, being a Mexican fighter who's 7-0, and the fight film looks really, really good. She has grappling. She trains at the Mexico PI. She was looking for a career in WWE in addition to fighting. I'll tell you what, Jason, I think I might be back in Regina Tarrin this week, which is a very big surprise to me because it's a lot to expect from a short notice fighter who wasn't necessarily looking to fight this weekend. But Regina Tarrin is 7-0, very aggressive, and very, very big. Back in 2022, she lost an amateur bout via KO in round 1. But when she turned pro, this girl has looked to weaponize her size and grappling and top wrestling by going out there, throwing heavy, heavy punches, cracking you, hurting you, making you respect her hands, and looking to take you down. I think that is a nice way to try to fight Ernesto 𝗂𝗏𝗏𝗏, because if you just play a kickboxing matchup with her and you just sit there and you're content with striking, you could be in for some trouble. I think that 𝗂𝗏𝗏𝗏, for the most part, demonstrates solid takedown defense. She was taken down 2 times by Deonna Barbosa, but was controlled for 3 minutes. She did stuff 11 of those takedown attempts, but she was taken down 3 times by Nicole Cagliari, which was 14 attempts. So she's defending takedowns. She's getting controlled a little bit, but I think that Regina Tarrin's just a big, big fighter when it comes to strength. So for me, I think she's got that unknown about her, and she's got the power. I mean, like, this is one where I would agree with you, where on paper, maybe this 9,000 fighter breaks the slate, and she very well could. But on a week where I hate the underdogs, and I actually like the fight film, I like the power and the striking I've seen from Tarrin, I like the wrestling and the submission skills, and she seems to be legitimately mean, and she's fighting in Mexico, so she's acclimated a little bit more than somebody from another part of the area, even if she's not from Mexico City. I'm picking Regina Tarrin here at 7,600 as a plus 150 underdog, Jason, because I think as a short notice, last minute replacement, you should be a much larger underdog than plus 150.
No, I get that. Especially, I mean, I think she took this fight on Monday.
Yeah,
Monday or Tuesday. I mean, it was early this week that she took this matchup. Angelo saying I'd rather have either of Chiasson, Tehran, or then 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗏. Agreed. As I think this is where I'm at in this range. Also, Kavanagh to slight. I mean, look, I think Kavanagh's going to be. If you're talking about a large field GPP, I would just expect that he's going to have a decent amount of ownership in that one. 2 more fights before we get into our picks and listener questions. First up, we got Eric Silva taking on Francis Marshall. Marshall, second highest price option this week at 9,600. Silva price at 6,600. Silva plus 475. Betting on our Marshall is at minus 650. You've got to look over there.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing. That Regina Tarrin, I looked up what she's fighting out of, and she is fighting out of Mexico City itself. So this girl is acclimated. All right, I just had to say that.
Okay. I didn't know if maybe something popped across your profile.
No.
I was like,
I just got excited, bro. Of all places in Mexico, she's from Mexico City, 7,000 feet above sea level.
Yeah, you had that look of like, oh, shit, something just happened. we've lost a fight or something.
Yeah, no.
We look at this Eric Silva, first fight in 2 years, 0-2 in the UFC, stopped in both those matchups, 38 years old. Marshall on the other side, 2-3 in the UFC, 1-3 in his last 4. He's gone the distance in 3 of his last 5 fights, but I think this is a popular play this week, but I think there's a lot of people who are thinking this is where we get the Francis Marshall stoppage victory in the UFC, Pete.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I'm a big Francis Marshall guy. I like him a lot. Watch his Contender Series, and I know of the fighter that he beat, and I was like, man, that was impressive. And from very, very good boxing, aggressiveness, fight IQ, and wrestling, I think that this kid is legitimate enough to be a problem for most matchups. And then you combine that with being a part of American Top Team now. I think that Francis Marshall is on his way, or this is a perfect matchup for him to really solidify himself as a dangerous fighter within the division. I don't think that you've seen the best from Francis Marshall because the Dana White Contender Series Francis Marshall hasn't shown yet. And like the best he's done is against in his debut against Marcelo Rojo, where he scored 100 fantasy points. His only other win is against Dennis Buzukja, where he scored 82. I think this kid is like talented enough to ragdoll his opposition and hurt him on the feet. So to me, this is a pretty easy play. He's 12 years younger than Silva. He has 1 inch in the height and reach department. I mean, Silva looks to grapple in most of his fights too. 3.76 takedowns landed per 15 minutes with 80% accuracy is 4.7 attempted. Francis Marshall lands 2.75, 44% accuracy means he's attempting 6.25. If Silva looks to grapple Marshall is going to, counter, spin around shut the takedowns down, maybe ragdoll him a little bit, hit him with some hard shots on the ground. And I think that we can see Silva getting stopped here, just like he was stopped in the Naimov fight, but that was due to injury. I think that he could get stopped just like he was against Brown in round 3, because Marshall should be in the driver's seat for most of this fight. I like Francis Marshall quite a bit at 9,600.
Yeah, I mean, to me, he's going to be a very popular play in terms of this slate. Just as much for me a play against Eric Silva than anything else, and I was actually still surprised Eric Silva was still in the UFC. That was a little bit of a surprise there. Then our opening fight, we got Damian taking on Schultz here. Damian enters here as a price of 800 DK. Schultz price of 7,400. He's a plus 210. Petty underdog, Damian minus 260 here. UFC debut for Damian. One back on Dana White's Contender Series in September. The one thing I would say is I do wonder, do we have a ground game issue in terms of what we've seen so far? And for Schultz, that is his clear way to win the fight. But my red flag on Schultz, and I believe he's been down in Mexico City now for a couple of weeks now, it is of him wearing down.
Yeah, so this is a pretty binary fight. I mean, the fight stays standing. Damian Piñas is going to be in the driver's seat and hurting and possibly knocking out Wes Schultz. If Wes Schultz is able to get Piñas down, then Schultz should have his way with Piñas, because the regional tape of Piñas shows some holes within his wrestling. But he does attack off of his back, and he is actively looking to stand up. So Wes Schultz can backpack you. Wes Schultz can Sulayev stretch you. Wes Schultz can look to throw up tricky submissions and put you in numerous ways of entanglements where you are just making the wrong decision, which leads to a submission defeat. So I think that this is a pretty easy fight to predict. It's just like Piñas by KO, Schultz by submission. I don't know if Schultz has the gas to go 15 minutes. He's a pretty decorated wrestler. He'll shoot traditional takedowns. He'll also look to chain other takedowns together, some throws, some trips. Piñas is a big guy and hits tremendously hard. Priced at 8,800. He's going to have to be on his A game, and he's not going to be able to just get away with being lazy, because Schultz is ferocious on the mat, and he's going to make him work, and he's going to weigh on him a little bit as well. But Piñas is 6 years younger, has 2 inches in the height and reach department. I think Piñas being a blue belt is better than nothing. But I think that the gap on the ground is going to be pretty evident. It's just the physicality. Can Schultz hold him down? I mean, he put Mansur Abdul-Malik in some terrible situations on the Contender Series, and then was ultimately fatigued, hit with shots, cracked, broken, and finished. I think that Piñas can look to try to do the same thing, and he knows that most people are trying to take him down. So it's not like this is a matchup where it's just he's going to be experiencing it for the first time. He's going to be experiencing it against the guy of Wes Schultz grappling and wrestling pedigree for the first time, though. So I would imagine Schultz comes in here with some heavy ownership. I would also imagine that Piñas has some heavy ownership as well. Jason hates the first fight of the night. This fight is I could see Schultz looking dominant early, not finding the finish. Round 2 comes out, Piñas smokes him and knocks him out. I just don't like the striking of Schultz. And for that, I am going to say that Piñas finds the KO or TKO as the fight goes on. But it's going to be, he's going to have to deal with a lot of adversity, because I think that the Schultz takedown props are how I would look to target this, because Schultz has very, very good grappling.
Yeah, I haven't looked on the DK pick 6 yet, and that's one of the things I've kind of got into over about the last 2 or 3 weeks is those pick 6 contests over there. Last week on that slate there wasn't a ton of love, so I'll look at that probably here later on today, and I'll put that in our Discord channel. Of course, link to our Discord channel is in the description of this show. I'll say this: in large field tournaments, Schultz is someone that does intrigue me just because of the takedown upside and potential ground issues on the other side. But Piñas would definitely be the pick for me. Let's get into our straight up fight picks. I'll answer questions. We'll get out of here. Main event, give me Moreno.
Yeah, Moreno.
I would go David Martinez.
Martinez for me.
Give me Daniel Zellhuber.
Zellhuber.
Give me Chairez.
Chairez.
Rodriguez, big time. Give me Luna.
Big time.
Gandra.
Give
me underdog number 1. I gotta get some underdogs in here somewhere.
Oh,
give me Chiasson.
Yeah. I sold him.
Macy
Chiasson.
But I do see the upside in GPPs with Perez. Quinones. Reyes. Carnicate.
Okay, I'm going Taryn.
Marshall. And I'll go Damian.
Yeah, Piñas.
It's really tough to get to some of these here. Let's start with super chat here from Sam. Highest leverage plays in each tier. Now, when you look in the 9,000 range, it might be one of the top 3 salary fighters this week, Pete.
Yeah, it's got to be Quinones because the underdogs suck.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe you could throw Zellhuber in that mix as well. I feel like that 9,000, 9,300 range will be kind of where a lot of people get to. So I think in that 9,000 range, it's from 9,400 and up. When we talk about in the 8,000 range, we only have 5 fighters.
It's so crazy, dude.
I mean, my guess would be that your leverage is probably Ailin Perez in this range.
Yep.
But she's got a high ceiling if she can get the takedowns, control time, and keep the fight on the mat, and it doesn't become a striking matchup. In the 7,000 range, Taryn probably is there because of the short notice. Maybe it's probably. Then I would look at Vera or Borjas.
Yeah, I would agree with you. It's probably Taryn just because she's unknown.
In the 6,000 range, if you really want to go dumpster diving,
I would say Chris Moutinho.
I would probably say Medina. I mean, look, Green is going to be the fighter in this range everyone's getting to. I feel like anybody else will be a little bit of a leverage play. In terms of that one, we get over to Discord, and then we can get out here. For this episode, value plays underneath 8K and a core 3 on DraftKings. Because of kind of how it's slated, I don't know if there's really going to be great value plays in 7K. Kavanagh, I think will be a highly owned. Chiasson, probably highly owned. I mean, they would probably be my top 2. But when you talk about from a GPP aspect, Schultz is the one that sticks out to me as a GPP play.
Yeah, the GPP play is Schultz all day long because of the upside. I mean, Jason, most of these takedowns, so normally this isn't how it is. When you're looking at my sheet, there's not usually a lot of red in the takedowns. The highest takedowns landed in a perfect world, this sheet shows in a perfect world, Schultz is number 1. Number 2 is, oddly enough, Cristian Quiñones because of what some of his stats have been. And then number 3 is Felipe Bunes. But normally, like, there are so many takedown artists. And this week, not so many. And the only other one would be Perez at 2.8. So those are takedowns landed, taking their takedown accuracy and combining it with their opponent's takedown defense.
In terms of a core 3 on DraftKings, I would start my core 3 with Santiago Luna. That's where I would start.
Yep.
I you know what? I'd probably say Macy. Give me some, looking at that 7K range. And then if I'm going third, maybe Javier Reyes.
Okay, so for me, I'm going to go Imanol for 1. I'm going to go Kavanagh 2 in hopes that it's mainly a punt for salary. And then 3, I would target maybe Moreno. So you guys already know. I'm stacking this week.
All right, we're going to end here with questions from Sam, his usual questions here in the chat. First off, Sam says, Jason and Pete special. Well, there is no Pete special this week.
Just the Jason special.
I hate the first fight may be key to lineups.
Yeah, I think so.
Just because of the volatility on both sides of the fight. I mean, you could paint a picture for both sides and why they would be optimal just because of how they win the fight. Favorite parlays. Now, I would say I have not built anything.
So chalky.
That's the problem, is all the ones that you love are just so chalky. Like, if I'm just trying to find, I mean, it's just, even just trying to find a 2-to-1 betting favorite, there's not a lot of options out there. I mean, you're gonna build a 3-fighter parlay, and the number's just not gonna be good.
Yeah, for me, right, like, the ways to avoid chalk is to play winning methods, right? Like, you predict winning methods, but also using the DraftKings spread, the point spread, is interesting too. Sometimes, like, if you think it's going to be a competitive fight for an underdog, target that plus 3.5. If you think it's going to be a complete wipeout and they have a minus 500 tag attached to them, take that minus 3.5 point spread. They just can't lose a round. So it's an interesting way to play, but it's definitely an alternative to avoid the chalk.
Top pump plays. In terms from a GPP aspect, I mean, I think the safe punt would be Kavanagh at 7.5.
Yep.
Schultz 7.4, but that could very well be a boom bust play. I mean, but you see the takedown upside, the submission upside. That's what gets me intrigued by him.
Yeah, I just worry about Schultz, like, dominating, being in the driver's seat, getting so tired. Let's say in round 2, and then, like, attempting a takedown, and then, like, Piñas, like, elbows him in the side of the head, and then Piñas doesn't get a knockdown bonus. He just gets to round 2. So I'm just kind of big braining it, and just, I don't want to deal with the headache mainly. But for large field GPPs, you definitely need exposure to both.
Takedown king and queen. I mean, I think queen would be pretty easy in Ailin Perez.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, she's attempting 10 takedowns in a perfect world, but based on Macy's 72% takedown defense, it's going to get tested.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of options. Santiago Luna could be the sneaky takedown king.
I'm going to play him via submission because a lot of times if you are not going to be able to finish somebody, you should, on the feet, you should be looking to take him to the mat or just completely dominating him with takedowns. So I'll probably play his takedown props and maybe I'll play his submission prop.
Top captain MVP takes.
Who do I have as the best play here?
I mean, look, I think you mentioned about Imanol Rodriguez. I'll mention Santiago Luna. Maybe Edgar Chairez is another good one there at MVP. I mean, everyone's going to get to the main event. So to me, it's about getting away from the main event. Co-main event's really not something I would look at. So I'm looking at the rest of the card.
Maybe Ryan Gandra. Maybe Gandra going up against Medina. I mean, he has some sneaky submission, some sneaky ceiling to him.
Road to the Mansion, 4.5. Sam, I'm just going to tell you this right now. I'm way over that. We're fighting elevation, and we got 13 fights.
Seven finishes all day long.
If we go under 4.5, it is going to be a long night of watching fights on Saturday.
Yeah. No way, bro. 4.5.
Yeah, but as always, I appreciate everyone who checks out every episode of Fight HQ. Of course, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video. If you're listening to us on the podcasting platforms, be sure to give us a rating and review. That very much helps us out a ton. Also, I want to know what your favorite sports book you play at. I want to know, what is that favorite sports book? I want to know from our listeners where you like to play your sports bets at there, just so we kind of have a good idea of where you like to play your bets at in terms of when we kind of talk about the betting side of this sport. Of course, we got our Discord channel. Pete's got his Patreon page, so be sure to check out all that. And we'll be back here next week. We'll get you ready for that fight night. Actually, no, it's not fight night card. Pay-per-view next week. That is the Max Holloway, Charles Oliveira pay-per-view in Las Vegas on a Saturday night. And I know Pete's favorite thing is happening on Friday night in Vegas. Power Slap.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Can't wait. Double whammy. Back to back.
So we, as always, appreciate everyone who tunes in, and we will talk to you next week.